Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to BizTalk. Today, we're discussing the importance of human resource and what impact does human resource have on a company in industry today. And we're going to explore different parts of how human resource plays an important role in any business entity. What I'm going to do is start by sharing my screen. So today we're going to look at the importance of human resources, HR, in business harmony. What do I mean by that? It's how important is HR in actual reality for a business to be able to operate or for a business to survive. The average life of a business today in today's global economy is anywhere from 20 to 25 years at most, providing they're successful. And that is notwithstanding that at the 20th year or 18th year or somewhere along their lifespan, they might decide to restructure or rebrand the company. So let's talk about it. What is the importance of human resource in business, and how does human resource ensure harmony within business in today's global economy? Well, as you all know, human resources is basically a department in the business that's tasked with looking after the human asset, your human asset. Just like you have fixed assets, buildings, furniture, etc. HR is a department in the business or organization that specifically focuses on looking after your most important asset, your number one asset, your people. The HR department in any business organization plays a very important role in holding hands with the business and actually helping it deal with the changing of the economy, the changes in the environment, the changes with the cost of living, the changes with the need to increase salaries, the changes in the quality of employees you can hire, and the quality of employees that you need today in the 21st century. There are numerous important human resources functions out there carried out by a HR department. 5 well-known types of responsibilities are: 1, you should all know, hiring, recruiting, and orientation or onboarding of new employees. The other one would be handling employee compensation and benefits, and that means deciding how much to pay an employee and which employees should get a higher rate of pay based on their experience or grades, the grade being their job grade. Offering employees job careers or jobs and career development. Again, that's the role of HR. Addressing work-related issues of individual employees, listening to feedback, listening to complaints, and dealing with employees in order to ensure that they're happy in the workplace and they don't end up leaving us and looking for another job. The other responsibility is developing policies that affect a working environment company-wide. So HR is not only tasked with interacting with employees day to day, but it's also tasked with drafting policy, setting down policy in order to keep up with industry and to ensure that employees don't just leave the company because the company's too slow to react. Let's go on. What is the importance of HR in today's business harmony? HR departments handle employee compensation, they handle benefits, they look after hiring, they look after termination, or they look after people who have resigned and make sure that they understand why they resign and make sure that their resignation is processed on time. Human resource management, on the other hand, basically looks at strategies, overall strategies that actually will set the tone for how HR will operate in your business or in your organization or in your entity. What role will HR play? How many people will it have to recruit? What sort of people will it recruit? All of these are part of human resource management strategies, which are required when you write a business plan. The HR department needs to keep up to date with the laws in your local countries to understand what the minimum employment laws, salaries, and requirements are in order for it to be able to recruit and hire employees in that country. Some companies today have moved from having HR people work for them to outsourcing all their HR processes to an external HR specialist who does all the HR duties for them and gets paid a monthly fee for looking after their HR requirements. Now, this concept of outsourcing is still new, but it is picking up, especially with small businesses who don't want to waste money employing a HR officer or a HR manager. What are the functions of HR that some companies have chosen to outsource to a third-party vendor? Running payroll and surveying employee benefits and deciding on what the benefits are each year, looking after recruitment, doing background checks, doing exit interviews to hear why people are leaving you, assessing any risk that a new employee or an old employee brings to the company, resolve disputes between employees and other employees or employees and their manager. Also, safety. Does everybody follow me so far? Yes or no? Can you wave your hands if you follow? Excellent. Also, safety. Safety of everybody working in the workplace or in that office. They also tasked, even if they're an external outsourced company that are doing all these things, they come to your office, they inspect the office, they make sure that the office environment is right for the people who are going to be outsourced to work with you. They also help you design office policies that would cater for people working from a serviced office, working online, or working from the office itself. Remember that HR is an essential component of any business. Regardless of an organization's size, HR is basically tasked with maximizing the number of employees and maximizing the productivity by those employees. By doing that, HR is basically protecting the structure of the business from any issues which may arise within the workforce based on somebody complaining or somebody feeling that they didn't get a fair chance at getting a job, etc. Today, more than ever, HR departments focus on human resource management using strategic investments and initiatives to improve their organization's workforce. The long-term goal of HRM, or human resource management, for all of you to memorize is to create a more positive, loyal, productive workforce, which ultimately benefits the company or the companies they're helping. Does everybody understand that, guys? Put up your hands. Come on. I want to see your hands go up if you understand. Who understands what I just said? Can you put up your hand, please? Nurji, can you put up your hand if you understand? Manika, do you understand? Put up your hand. Wave your hand if you understand, Manika. Manika, good, excellent. Thank you. All right, so basically, HR plays an important role. It definitely plays an important role in ensuring that employees feel important, because HR is responsible for employees. They are responsible for managing and taking care of your second most valuable asset, your human capital. Why is HR important? Why? Because HR can promote business harmony. It can make sure that everybody in your business communicates. It can create harmony between people in the same industry, between you and your competition, or you and other businesses running the same sort of business. It can also see through the implementation of various strategies and practices aimed at fostering positive relationships between the people that work for us at the lower level and management at the middle or upper level. But really, why do people or why do businesses have HR? HR is there to enhance the overall business organizational effectiveness. That means, if needed, hire more people, if needed, train people so they become more productive. It all comes back to the country you're in and the cost. Human resources can promote industrial harmony by implementing various strategies and practices aimed at fostering positive relationships between the worker and the company, as well as enhancing overall organizational effectiveness. So ideally, people in this department would work together, because if the department fails, the people that work in the department failed, and you haven't been able to motivate anyone new that is intended to join. Okay, so maintaining a fostering positive relationship is fundamental to today's economy. Let's talk to people. Let me ask you, how many people understand what I mean by business harmony? Who understands the words business harmony? Could you put up your hand, please? What does business harmony mean? Nurpiri, what does business harmony mean? What does it mean? Are you there, Nurpiri? Do you know what it means? No? Okay, can you unmute your microphone, Nurpiri? Unmute your microphone.
Hi.
Hi, do you understand what I mean by harmony in business? Do you understand what I mean when I say HR should create harmony in your industry or your business?
Yes, like humanity.
What does it mean?
Like be patient, be more tolerant in business. It's important.
Okay, right. So it's telling you about the importance of having the people element of your business, people who work for you, be your first priority. So that's why HR is critical and they should be involved. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Good, excellent. Thank you. Beverly, do you understand that? Beverly Aquino? How are you today, Beverly? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay, let's go to Ismani. Do you understand what I've said so far, Ismani? Ismani? Yes or no? Do you understand, Esmani? Could you open your microphone and say yes, or could you wave your hand? Thank you. All right. So HR is basically the science of managing human capital. Human capital is one of the most valuable assets any business or organization can have. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Wave your hands if you understand. Good, excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, let's go on. Okay. Remember, what are the ways that HR can contribute to harmony? What does HR have to do in order to ensure harmony, manage harmony, or bring harmony to a business? You might not think it's important. You might say, well, hold on, I'm the hiring manager. I employ someone, so if they like me, that will bring harmony. That's not the full answer. It takes more than just one person to create harmony within a team or a group that you're going to employ with one company. So, what does HR have to do with this? HR has an open and transparent responsibility to communicate with candidates, to make sure that candidates understand your company's policy, your company's mission, vision, and procedures, and they minimize changes throughout the year to make sure that the staff remain motivated and remain part of the class. Does everybody understand that so far? Remember, the whole idea of effective business communication, so far as HR, is that HR plays a very important role. And today more than ever, HR must deliver a clear, transparent, easy to understand form of communication, whether it's written or verbal. By ensuring that you have a clearly marked timeline or a very clear timeline on how you're going to deal with HR matters, how you're going to deal with matters that you send to the junk profile or deleted profile, how do you assess which ones should go there, which ones should be put into storage, and then we should contact you and try to resolve. But before you understand all that, you have to understand the very basic reason why you're here. Okay? All right. So the first part of being in harmony, the first part of HR ensuring harmony in business is what we call effective communication. Effective communication is a must. It's not a choice, it's a must. And what does it mean? It talks about the exchange of information messages within an organization or between different users or business entities. It should facilitate the flow of information, the ideas, and the feedback among employees, teams, departments, and external factors, people from outside. And the last one, simply HR provides a process of being able to share information within people in that workplace, okay, and where needed, share information with the right person or personnel outside that workplace. Okay, does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Are you sure? Does everybody understand what I said? Could you wave your hands, please? Okay, so let's stop my share screen and let's go back and talk about it. So does everybody understand why HR so far plays a role in human capital? HR is responsible for recruiting. HR is responsible for agreeing salaries with the future employee. HR is responsible for making sure that that new employee receives the right amount of training and is motivated to work. HR is basically the contact between your company, your entity, and the candidate who wants to work for you. Does everybody understand that now? Yes or no? Don't be shy. Wave your hand, Gwyn. Okay, good. All right. So what I want to do now is I want everybody to give me an example on how you think HR plays an important role in your company based on the position you currently hold. Who can be first? Who can tell me what HR does in your company to motivate positive interaction with students, and what does it do to encourage students to join your organization or people to work for your organization? Who would like to answer first? Who's going to be the first one to give me examples? Gwyn, can you do it? Gwyn? Harry? Is it Harry? No, sorry. Harry's gone. Tun Shui. Hi, Tun Shui. Can you answer my question? Please go ahead. Hi, Tun Shui. Good.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of how HR brings harmony to your business or your company?
Yeah, but in my country, we don't have proper HR, and then we cannot recruit.
All right. So who does the recruiting?
Yeah.
Who does the recruiting for you in your country?
Yes, I recruit the HR, and then they select the all required people, and then they discuss about the.
All right.
The
so what you're saying,
salary.
you're saying is some companies in your country don't have HR because they don't recruit. Is that what you're telling me?
No, for me, I'm engineer, so I my company also service we doing the installation.
Right.
So not like a business style.
So for you, you provide engineering solutions, correct?
Yeah.
And how many
Yes.
people work for your company?
About 10 people.
Right. So your company's not employing more people, so therefore it doesn't need a HR person. Is that right?
Yeah. Because
And
I
when
have to
they
use.
and
Yeah.
when they do need to recruit, they probably use an external recruitment company. Is that correct? They outsource to
Yeah.
a small company. And the reason they do that is because they're too small and it's cheaper for them to outsource. Do you understand that? That is a possibility. Some companies with under 30 employees, sometimes employing a HR person can be very expensive. So what they do is they actually ask a third-party business to take care of those HR processes, and that's called outsourcing. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and we'll
But
talk more about
in our
outsourcing
country,
shortly. Yes, go ahead.
in our country, the most people are the recruit by themselves. We don't use a third party HR.
All right, so the reason they recruit by themselves is because
Yeah.
it's cheaper. They don't have to pay commissions. All right.
Yeah.
So if you're a small company and you believe your owner or one of you knows how to recruit, that's fine. But then you have a problem when you recruit the right person and you need help finding the right person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you recruit the
Yeah.
wrong person, it ends up becoming more expensive for your business. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll come back and talk to you. But it's very good that you raised this point because a lot of small businesses don't have their own HR department. They rely on a third party, which is called an outsourced party. These people are not employed by you. They're like a service provider. You pay them to look after certain elements of your business, but they're not your employees. All right. Some small businesses find it cheaper to use an outsourced HR person than employ their own. There is risks and dangers of that because if this person does something wrong,
Sorry.
the company will suffer. If this person cannot employ the right people, then the company will have to go and advertise, pay money to recruit the right people. And the consequences of that is if they recruited the wrong people and you wasted 2 weeks paying them, and then these people can't do the job because they're the wrong people for the job, then you've wasted 2 weeks. You paid 2 weeks salary, which has gone to waste. So there is advantages and disadvantages. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Good, excellent, thank you. Can anybody else give me any input as to HR becoming something which plays an important role for your business? Can anybody else tell me anything about your own company or the company you work for and what role HR plays? Who would like to talk to me? Go ahead. Okay, let's talk to Raghu first. Raghu, share with me. What have you got to tell me, Raghu?
Okay, sir. About HR, he is a focal person for the company, sir. And he sent to us now, like I'm working in the industry.
Yes.
I'm working in the industry and he is a focal person for all the employees. And he recruitment process and everything, he has to done. And
absolutely. That's the role of HR. HR is there to manage a company's most valuable asset. It's human capital. That's the role of HR. Please keep going, Raghu. Keep going.
And then everything we have to go from him, even including the leave that we proceed, he need to approve. And then moreover, if you have to go for a tour or be it in a training, then we have to get prior permission from him so that
Very
only
good.
we can get.
Very good. Do you know why? Do you know why companies do that? What is the aim of having a HR person? Because the HR person has to do 3 things, which we're going to look at shortly. 1, manage human capital. 2,
Yes.
he has to make sure that there's enough human capital to run the business. And 3, that the company's strategy is being implemented and is not being shortcome by a shortage of the right talent. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Raghu?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much for your input. I'll talk to you again. Let me talk to someone else. Mary Grace, can you give me an example, Mary Grace? Go ahead, Mary Grace.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good communication. And
Good communication is an important part of HR's role because HR is communicating with human capital. And for HR to be or to cause a positive influence, they need to be good communicators. Very good. Anything else, Mary Grace?
sa team leader sa team.
Well, HR has to lead the people. They have to set examples for people and lead people. They also have to educate people as to the company's philosophy and strategy. Yes, you are right. Thank you, Mary Grace. I'll talk to you again. Thank you. Okay, who else can I talk to? I'll talk to one more. Let's go to Blythe or Amira. Blythe was first. Go ahead, Blythe. Hi, Blythe. What do you want to add? Go ahead.
Hi, hello. For us, my previous company, HR, they are
Yes.
in charge with recruitment, orientation,
Yes.
and training and development.
Yes.
And then they give the policy of the company, and they also give the performance appraisal, and they also give employee motivation through
All of those.
after the,
Yeah.
yeah,
All of those.
after the,
All
sorry,
of
go ahead.
those are functions of HR because
Yeah.
everything you've said just there, Blythe, what are those functions doing? They're looking after your human capital. Is that
yes.
right? Very
Yes,
good.
that's
Excellent. Very
more
good.
on
Thank you.
people management in particular, and they serve as a bridge between the employee and then the employer.
Thank you very much. You've read my notes, I think. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead. All right. So basically, as Blythe said, HR is the bridge or the connection between the entity, the business entity, and its human capital. Does everybody understand that? Okay. I'll come back to you guys. I've got one more person to talk to. Amira Banson, go ahead. Amira Basman. Go ahead, Amira. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Hi. Where are you from?
Yes, right. Philippines.
Okay. Tell me, what else would you like to add?
Okay. HR may enhance workplace harmony by encouraging staff involvement through channels for communication, praise, and review.
Good. Excellent. One more. You're on the right track. Go ahead. What else?
Yeah. This might promote positive workplace conditions and
Yes.
boost staff morale, which
Very
would
good.
boost output and decrease staff turnover.
Very good. Can you explain to everybody what the staff turnover mean, Amira? Do you know? No, I'll explain. It's okay. Staff turnover means the number of people that resign or walk away and go to another company. Because if people work for you, they learn and they leave, you have to train someone else. And that's called turnover. And turnover means there's a cost. Do you understand that, Amira?
Yeah.
Turnover or staff redundancy is basically when staff leave the company, which we also talk about retention, staff retention. So a company should have a higher rate of staff retention and a lower rate of staff turnover. Because if the turnover rate is high, the retention rate is low. If the retention rate is high, the turnover rate is low. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? All right. And there's a danger to redundancy or a danger to turnover, because the more people you turn over, that will have an impact on the company's morale. For example, if, Govind sees all his friends leave the company, then he would have bad morale and he may decide to follow them as well. So high turnover or lower retention has a negative impact as far as motivation and morale within the organization. So retention, high retention, low turnover is definitely a priority for HR in ensuring harmony within its organization and the industry. Thank you, Amira. Thank you very much. That was a very good point, young lady. Okay. All right. Let's go on, guys. Let's go back to the lesson. Okay, so basically what we're saying here is in order for HR to be that important role, or for HR to be able to ensure harmony, in order for it to be able to contribute to the business and to make sure that it maintains industrial harmony, HR needs to be an effective business communication unit. They need to communicate effectively, and this means the exchange of information and messages within the organization or between different business entities, whether they're talking to recruitment agencies, to suppliers, or to people who give them people to help them, outsource agencies. But most importantly, when they deal with the people within the organization, the people that work in the downline of the organization. Communication facilitates the flow of information and feedback amongst employees, teams, departments, and also external shareholders. What is the purpose of having good communication? You need communication in order to achieve the company's fundamental goals, in order to be able to communicate the mission of the company to the people who work for you, and in order to be able to deliver messages between the staff who work for you and the staff communicating with customers outside. If the staff don't understand what you tell them, then they'll deliver the wrong message to your customers. Communication is critical. So basically, communication in simple language is the art of sharing information between people within the workplace, and also between the people in your workplace and the people outside who could be your customers or business partners. Remember, the purpose of having harmony in the organization and the purpose of the organization having HR in its organization structure as part of the business and a unit within the business is to ensure that its most valuable asset, its people, are well managed. You can own a building, you can own furniture, but without your most valuable human asset, your human capital, you have no business to run. No business can run without people. You can set up a business. The business can sit there idle. But unless you have people to effectively manage or run that business and deliver your products or services, then the business is not functioning. The business unit will fail and will probably go into receivership or bankruptcy. So the purpose to improve organizational practices and reduce errors within the organization will require an effective way of communication. Let me show you some figures so you understand, okay? If we look at this based on a survey done early last year, why is business communication important? 32.7% of people with less income, okay, said that those with low engagement scores earn less income. What do I mean by that? 32.7% less income. So if you cannot understand what is being communicated with you at work, or if your employer doesn't communicate clearly, usually the people that work don't understand. They do not perform a higher sense of productivity, and therefore they earn a lower salary. If people want to be more productive and produce more goods, or show their boss that they're dealing with more customers or higher sales, the first core requirement is for them to understand the core values of the business and what their job is, or what their role is. Okay? Companies with an engaged workforce, okay, engaged workforce, a workforce that communicates effectively, okay, sees a 19.2% growth in operating income over a 12-month period. So companies that have effective communication and communication through a HR element or HR department will constantly see a range of at least 19.2% growth in its operating income over a 12-month period, which means that the staff that work for it better understand the company's requirements, the company's goals, the company's vision, the company's values, and are able to do that. Why? Because of better communication. But those with low engagement, where there's little or no effective communication, sees people earning a lower income than those with proper engagement. Does everybody understand that? Do you understand now why is business communication important? Do you understand it, Norji? Okay, let's talk about key aspects and practices that you need to master in order to communicate effectively in business. Number one, you need to use clear and concise language. Speak clearly and try to use simple language that other people will understand. You need to speak with formal English, not slang, not street English. Because if you don't use proper formal English, the people you're talking to might misunderstand you or misconceive the slang English. Business should always be communicated with formal English. I'll give you an example of formal English. Good afternoon, sir, is formal English. Informal English would say, hey, good day, Norji. How are you, mate? Is that the proper way to communicate in business? It's not, right? You can't communicate with a customer by saying, hey, good day, woman. If I said good day, woman to a female customer, she'd walk away and accuse me of being a chauvinist or sexist, right? You cannot communicate with your staff by saying, hello, mate. Hello, man. Hello, girl. How are you, beautiful? Because today, more than ever, if you use the wrong form of formal communication, your company could end up being sued for being either racial discrimination or sexual discrimination or sexual harassment. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Iana, do you understand what I said, Iana? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you understand, Iana? I can't hear you, gorgeous. Can you switch on your microphone? Go ahead, Iana. Unmute your microphone.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Do you understand what I'm saying about the need for formal and informal communication?
Sir, can you repeat your question?
Okay, you need to focus on my lesson, Iana. You need to listen to me.
Sorry.
So in business, people need to use formal communication, not informal communication. So if I speak to someone formally, for example, I'd say, good afternoon, Mrs. Smith. But if I speak to someone informally, I could say, hey, good afternoon, woman. Do you think formal or informal is more correct, Iana?
I think it's
formal, right? Formal
It's formal.
English or formal language is the language to use in business. Would you agree with me, Iana?
Yes, I agree with you.
Good, excellent. Thank you, Iana. The other point that you have to remember, everyone, is if that you use informal language, the company is at risk for being sued for discrimination or racism. All right, sexual discrimination has become a very big thing in industry today. Very senior managers are being sued for using the wrong language, calling their secretary sweetheart, or making fun of her or touching her. All of this can end up with lawsuits. So being formal and using formal business English in a business environment is very much a must in today's business harmony. And HR would be there to make sure that happens. The other part of communication is to have audience awareness. And that means that when you communicate with people, you have to understand what they want to hear. You have to understand their needs, their expectations and the background. For example, if Norji was to communicate with all the employees in the factory, he has to understand what they want to hear. They do not want to hear that he's cutting their salary. They do not want to hear that he's reducing overtime. They want to hear positive things like, ladies and gentlemen, business is very good. So next month, there will be many hours of overtime available for everyone in the factory. And in addition to that, to motivate you to work harder, we're going to introduce bonuses for those who meet the production quota. All right. But for you to actually communicate properly, you need to be aware of your audience. Who are they? How well educated are your audience? Are they more focused on promotion or on salary? Does everybody understand that? Do you understand that, Norji? Yes or no? Good. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Do you understand that, Mary Bell? Thank you. Do you understand that, Rosalie? Good. Do you understand that, Mr. Nidfor? Mr. Nidfor, do you understand what I just said? Yes or no? Thank you, sir. Okay. Do you understand it, Sheikh? Do you understand it, Jojo? Tun Shui, do you understand? Wave your hand to me, Tun Shui, or open your microphone. Unmute your microphone, Tun Shui. Good afternoon, Tun Shui.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Do you understand what I
understand.
mean, the importance of audience awareness?
Say again.
Do you understand what audience awareness means?
Yes.
Okay, can you give me an example of why audience awareness is important? Why is it important? Can you tell me?
Hey, this one, how do I explain to you the one?
Okay, let me explain it to you. If you don't understand about the people you're talking to, the danger is they will not understand you. Do you follow me?
Yes.
So if you go to China and speak to them in English and they
Yes.
don't understand English, will they understand anything you say? No.
No.
So you need to make sure that you understand the needs of the people you're talking to, what their expectations are, and you actually are able to communicate with them in the right language at the right tone. Do you understand me now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Beatrice. Hi, Beatrice Moyo. Are you there, Beatrice? Do you understand what I just explained? Beatrice, do you understand? Can you unmute your microphone? Go ahead. Hi.
Yes.
Beatrice,
Hi.
do you
Yes.
understand what I've just explained regarding audience
Yes, I
awareness?
do.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Completely.
Beatrice.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. Let me go on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about awareness first. Awareness. What is awareness? Why do we need to practice awareness? That is a question that we all need to undo or understand, right? Why do we practice awareness? Awareness is whenever you start a new business, the first thing you need to take care of is technical specs. Aside is the audience, okay? All right, so basically it's not only technical specs. The technical specs you need to iron out before you decide which business you're going to start. But you not only have to be aware of the product and its technical specs, you have to be aware of the audience, the customers you're going to communicate with, and you have to understand what they want. You have to be aware. It goes back to the term that I taught you, customer centricity, customer demographics. That's all part of awareness. It's the same when you work with people. You have to be aware of what those people's needs are, or what language they speak, or what they expect. Then there's consideration. This is a stage when you can build a relationship with the customer, whether it's an internal customer or external customer. It's a point where you understand their interests And the only part or the only time there's consideration where you're able to communicate is after you achieve awareness. Once you have awareness and you have consideration, the next part is conversion. That means that the people you're communicating with you are more likely to understand you and agree with you. And if you're talking to a customer, they're more likely to buy your product. Then there's loyalty. If you can actually show awareness of what your customers want and what they need and how your product can benefit them through customer centricity or people centricity, understanding the human capital that works for you, you will definitely get loyalty from your customer and from your human capital, who will continue working for you rather than leave you and go and work for someone else. And the last and the bottom is advocacy. In order to be aware, you must believe and be able to advocate. You can only advocate once you're able to focus on the right audience. So if you can actually focus on the right audience by being aware of what that audience wants and understanding that audience, you can then go ahead and tell them about your product, services, or communicate with them. So basically, advocacy can only happen once you have awareness. Once you have awareness, then you're at a point where you can communicate effectively with the people who work for you or with other people who are your customers. Does everybody understand the table that I just explained? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Let's go on. All right. Okay, guys, let me go on. So the other key aspects and practices of business communication are interest targeting. Make sure that when you talk to the people who work in your organization, understand their interests. Be able to break the ice with them and show them that you respect them and value them and understand what they're interested in other than work. It's the same when you deal with customers. Make sure that you understand your customer's mindset. Who is your customer? Are your customers 16-year-old teenage girls who are looking to buy sexy short dresses? Are they the customers you're trying to reach? And if they are, what are their interests? Music, MTV, or are they interested in old classical music? So you basically need to have very good focus understanding in order to target the people you're trying to communicate with. And last but not least is what we call geographical targeting. This is where you target people that you really need to target. For example, most importantly, the people inside your organization, then the people outside that you need to communicate with. For example, let me give you an example. If you download a food delivery app like Grab, Food Panda, or anything in your country, you'll see options that are close to your location. It'll show you restaurants closest to your house that you can order from. And then you can actually sort by other restaurants that are further away. But that means the price of delivery will go up. Please, ladies and gentlemen, don't draw on my screen. Okay, does everybody understand what I'm saying? Geo-targeting is very important, especially when you're dealing with the people inside your company. You need to communicate with them as if they're part of your company or family, not as if they're somebody external or somebody you don't know. Does everybody understand what I mean by geographical targeting? Yes or no? So if you're talking to all the blue collar workers in your factory, you would actually geographically target blue collar workers and their level of understanding of English or your language. But if you're talking to office executives who've gone to school and got university degrees, you're targeting a different geographical audience. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Excellent. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Let me talk to some people who've raised their hands. Okay, Samuel Benson. Good afternoon, Samuel. Good to see you again. Talk to me. What's your question, Samuel? Are you there, Samuel? I can't hear you, Samuel. Your microphone is muted. I'm sorry, Samuel, your microphone's not working. Mr. Govan, can you try to help Samuel fix his microphone? Let me talk to someone else in the meantime. Mary Grace, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, please. Mary Grace. Hi, Mary Grace, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you want to say to me, Mary Grace? You raised your hand. Go ahead. Yeah, share with me. You want to add? Do you understand what I mean by geographical targeting?
Don't have, sir.
Okay, you do or you don't? You don't understand?
Yeah.
Okay,
I understand.
you understand? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Good girl. Excellent. Do you have a question for me?
No, no, sir.
Okay, good girl. All right, let's go to David. Thank you, Mary. I'll come back to you. Mary Grace. Yes, David, go ahead, David. Welcome to today's lesson. Go ahead, David. Are you there, David? David, you need to be connected to audio all the time. Go ahead, David. I'll come back to you, David. Put up your hand when you have audio, please. Are you there, David? Go ahead, David. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself, please. Go ahead. Are you there, David? Go ahead. How can I help you, sir? Do you have a question? Are you there? Yeah, go ahead.
I've been away for a while now. I've not joined the class from the beginning.
Sir, I can't repeat, sir. So you need to join from the beginning next time. If you want a certificate, you have to sit through the whole session. You have to sit from the beginning to the end. All right. So this time I'll make an exception, but please make sure in future you join at the beginning with your camera on. Okay. You know, there's 200 people here, sir. I can't repeat anything that I've already explained. Do you understand that? When you receive an email with your certificate on Monday or Tuesday, you will also get copy of the PowerPoint material. I suggest you read it. And if you have any questions, you can always send me a WhatsApp message and ask me. All right? Okay?
All right.
Thank you. All right. Let's go on, ladies and gentlemen. What I'd like to do is cover 2 more slides, and then we'll take a 5 or 10 minute break. Just let me go on. Okay, so we all understand about targeting. Everybody understands about targeting. Targeting plays a fundamental element in your business. A lot of businesses like Nokia failed many years ago because they weren't able to understand targeting. They were trying to sell their phones to the world. They didn't target certain people in certain third world countries who wanted a cheap phone and not a smartphone. So what happened is their business died. They stopped making phones. Now, after probably 15 to 20 years, they have now come back, and now they have started targeting certain customers who want a cheaper phone, such as the one they make. And now they're targeting a specific audience with the phone that suits that cheap market in a country that is ideal for their cheaper phones. All right, because they weren't listening to their customers, they weren't becoming customer centric, and they weren't targeting. They were just trying to sell to the world. All right, let's talk about the next element, active listening. For those of you who've been in some of our lectures recently, especially our entrepreneurship and sales lectures, you've all learned about active listening. Active listening is a core ingredient of being able to ensure that HR builds harmony in the industry or keeps the organization together. Listening attentively is active listening, and it's a vital part of any communication. Let's talk about active listening. The first step of active listening is paying attention. The second element is not having any preconceived judgment and listening to everything before you pass judgment. You must ask questions and reflect on what you're hearing and think about it and analyze it before you ask questions. You need to ask open questions and closed paraphrase questions. Open-ended questions are questions that require information. For example, tell me about your experience. Open-ended. You need to then ask for clarification through closed-ended questions or paraphrase questions. And that means, Joe, you said that you've worked for 5 years as an engineer. Is that correct? You're asking for yes or no to clarify. Part of active listening is once you've asked questions, once you've clarified, it's to be able to summarize what you understand from the other party and allow the other party to summarize what he or she understands for you to share the road ahead or what you decided as a result of the communication. For example, yes, I agree with you, or unfortunately, I agree that we're unable to agree and we need to actually spend more time looking at the specifications of your product. Okay, so open active listening is a form of open communication between you and the other party, where both parties give input. There is then written communication, which includes emails, memos, reports, proposals, and other written documents. And written communication is just as important as verbal communication, okay? Because if you're actively listening, then when you use written communication, you will be able to address the issues at hand. But if you don't practice active listening, you're going to be writing letters that don't mean anything. And you're basically, all that's going to happen is the other party is going to come back to you and say, but hold on, you haven't resolved my issue. You haven't answered my questions. With written communication, it's very important to actually show your confidence, both in English and the nature of the subject you're talking about. If you write a letter or an email to a client or an employee and there is spelling mistakes in it, that would show that you lack competence, and therefore the customer or the employee will lack confidence in dealing with you, most likely. All right, so remember, written communication includes memos, emails, letters, instant messages, social media messages, faxes, and of course, any employee manuals or instructions that you give to your employees. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is, does everybody understand the difference between verbal and non-verbal communication? We'll talk about them shortly. So the first part of communication is listening. The second part is verbally communicating. The other mode of communication is written communication. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? All right. After the break, we're going to talk about what is verbal communication and what is non-verbal communication. And I'm going to teach you what you should and shouldn't do in order to communicate correctly. But if you're writing an email or you're writing a letter to a client or a staff member, if you were to misspell their name, use incorrect grammar, not use the correct salutation, that would show that you lack competence in your job. And that means that your customer or internal staff member will lose their confidence in communicating with you. Do you understand that? And that's the same if you were to go into a discussion and you weren't actively listening. If you have preconceived ideas and make decisions or prejudgments and do not have effective two-way communication through active listening, the party at the other side will lose their confidence in you because they think that you're not listening to them or you don't want to listen to them, and you will effectively lose that business, or the staff member will actually resign and go somewhere else. Does everybody understand this? Yes. The importance of communication, and we spoke about written communication. Now let's go on. Verbal communication is the opposite to written communication. As I said to you, written communication is what you write. Verbal communication is what takes place through the face-to-face interactions, whether online or in person, face-to-face, or online face-to-face. Verbal means when you exchange communication with your voice, but not in writing. In writing, it's written communication. Okay, written communication, verbal communication. Okay, it's spoken communication. Now remember, part of verbal communication, when you're actually looking at someone or they're looking at you, in order for you to be understood or for the communication to be effective, you must also use the appropriate body language to enhance understanding. Does everybody know what I mean by body language? Yes or no? Who can tell me, what does body language mean? Jojo, what does body language mean? Go ahead, Jojo. What does body language mean, Jojo?
For me, sir, body language is the way you act.
It's the way you present yourself, not the way you are. It's the way you present yourself. Thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else wants to add to that? Jalor, do you want to add to that? No? Okay. All right. So let's talk about body language. And I want you to take note of these because a lot of you have been asking me, can you give us examples of body language? Let me share that with you. Okay. All right. There is verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal is the spoken communication, right? It's spoken communication. Non-verbal is the communication that you put forward through your body. You put it forward through your body. It could be in your handshake. It could be in the way you smile, the way you look, the way you sit up straight or you crouch. All of that is non-verbal communication. What is verbal communication? Verbal communication is the use of spoken words. And usually spoken words are best used when you speak formal English, when you're talking about serious or controversial topics, when you want to resolve disagreements and try to avoid emotions. Okay, now remember, usually when you're talking about very serious business negotiations, or you're talking to a member of your staff who has performance issues and you're counseling them, you usually start with verbal communication and then you follow it through with a letter or email to confirm, which is non-verbal communication. Which is written communication. You follow it through with an email or a letter, which is written communication. Now, is non-verbal communication important? Yes, it is. Because if you're talking to a customer or to a staff member, you need to look at them face to face. Non-verbal communication is written words or your body language. Because verbal is spoken. So non-verbal includes the words you write in an email and your body language. Also your paralanguage, the level of confidence that you exert when you talk. If you write a letter or an email and it's got spelling mistakes, that shows that you lack competence. It's the same with verbal communication. All right? In verbal communication, if you don't use the right tone or keep saying but, if, maybe, not sure, that demonstrates a lack of competence to the person you're communicating with. And that means that will reduce their level of confidence in talking to you or doing business with you. So nonverbal communication or nonverbal cues, such as facial expressions, gestures, body posture, tone of voice, all play a significant role in conveying messages. You must be very careful that your non-verbal signals and ensure they align with your intended message. For the love of God, don't go to a meeting with someone and close your eyes because you're drunk or too tired. Because if you can't keep your eyes open, do you think the people you're talking to are going to listen to you? No, because you're sending the wrong non-verbal cue. The heads and the hands are very important and powerful when you're trying to send the right non-verbal communication to a person you're talking to. And they are the most powerful and influential gestures in communication. They are used in conversations between individuals, by presenters in lectures, or by people chairing meeting in business. Let's talk about the first set of hand gestures. Tell me, this guy here with his hands up like that, what is he trying to tell the world? When somebody is being open and sincere, they will talk with their palms open or facing upward and visible while they're talking to their clients or their customers. Okay? If you're talking through Zoom, every so often let the customers see your hands open. What do we portray when we have hands closed like this? Okay? When somebody is being less than honest, their palms will be hidden under the table, in their pockets, behind their back, or facing down, not up. People often intuitively read the palms up or down situation, and based on whether you give them palms up or down, if you give them palms down, they automatically switch to negativity, and therefore anything you say to them will fail. Therefore, you must always try to show palms up, or every so often let them see your palms up. Not closed, not clenched, or better still, don't let them see your hands at all if you're on Zoom. But if you're face to face, they have to see your hands. Do you understand that, everyone? Next one. If somebody is in a meeting with you and suddenly they put their hand up against their face, they're telling you that they basically lost interest in you. Okay? This person is bored. He doesn't understand what you're saying. He wants to hear more information that will catch his interest. It could mean that you're speaking too fast, and you basically are in danger of having wasted your time, because at the end of your discussion, he's just going to say thank you, and he will either resign and go and work for someone else, or he will never become your customer. He's bewildered. He's lost. He doesn't know what you're saying. He doesn't understand you. He doesn't believe you, or basically you're talking too quickly. And you're probably talking and not letting him talk. You're conducting a one-way discussion. Remember, we talked about active listening, where it's a two-way conversation. This guy here is bewildered. It's probably because you're talking too much and you're not letting him tell you what he wants or what he needs. You're not asking him any questions. He's going to fall to sleep. You're just talking, and nothing you're saying is of interest to him. Let's talk about this man. His hand is up against his face. All right, what is this man telling you? When the thumb is up against your face, or it's up against your face, okay, your finger's up against your face, your thumb is below the chin, and the finger, as I said, is on your face against your cheek. This implies that this person is thinking. He's thinking, he's saying to himself, well, is this person talking rubbish? They won't let me speak. They're talking too fast. They keep making mistakes. They don't understand what they're talking about. Should I just go to sleep? Should I go somewhere else? So if you see someone doing that during a lesson or a class or a presentation, automatically you should stop and try to engage that person by saying, hey, Peter, can I just check? Do you follow or do you understand what I've said so far? Is the product I'm telling you about what you're looking for? Does everybody understand that? Good. Let's go to positive evaluation. Here, we said this is a bit negative. This is definitely negative. Let's go to positive. This one here is positive evaluation. Here, the person is more receptive. He is more supportive. His finger and his hand up and against his face. There's no thumb under his cheek or under his collar, under his neck. Okay. And this person likes what you're saying. Okay. And usually when he does this, he's seriously thinking of saying, I like what you're saying, or saying that he wants your products or services or agreeing with you. Let's look at the collar pull. Collar pull is no good. This one is positive. This one is positive. Okay. This one is negative. This one is definitely negative. This one here is negative. This one here is positive. Okay, let's go back to the next one. Is this one positive or negative? Who can tell me? Is the collar pull positive or negative? Who can answer me? Negative. Very good. Very good, Janice. It's negative. Let's talk about the collar pull. General indications of perspiring and a general impression of discomfort, often accompanying somebody playing with their collar. This is a very firm indication that somebody is being dishonest. Okay, what they're saying to you is they don't believe you or they're not telling you the truth. Men who sparse with the truth have tendency to start to feel hot. Their shirt collar begins to feel about 2 sizes too small. And because they know that what you're telling them is a lie, they start pull their collar. Or if they're telling you a lie and they're being less truthful, they start pulling their own collar. The natural embarrassment of the situation often leads to this exaggerated gesture of pulling at the collar in discomfort. If one of your customers that does that to you, you should quickly reflect on what you've told him and try to go back and can ask questions to see what is it he doesn't believe. Ask questions, short answer questions, questions to probe what is it that he doesn't believe or understand. You could ask an open-ended followed by several short-ended closed probe questions. And if a customer's talking to you and telling you something, and then he starts scratching his collar, that's telling you that he is showing you that he's not being totally honest with you. You may have to wait till he finishes what he's talking about and again probe. So this is definitely negative. Women who may not wear as tight-fitting clothing around their neck are less prone to this gesture, but women will tend to fiddle with a necklace or earring as an indication of their discomfort, that they're either not telling you the truth or that you're not telling them the truth. Some of them will even pull their glasses off and chew their glasses. Some of them will start to fiddle with their necklace or their watch, or they might even start looking at their watch, showing you that they're not interested. They got no time. They're in a hurry because you haven't captured their attention. This is definitely negative because this is for women. All right, so let's look at it. Non-verbal communication usually represents 65% of any discussion or communication. Why? Because it covers facial expressions, the tone of your voice, the movement of your hands and body, your appearance, your eye contact, your gestures, and your posture sitting up straight. The verbal spoken words only cover 35%, but the non-verbal is the major player. The non-verbal is 65%. Look at all the components it covers. The next element that's critical in business communication is feedback. Whenever you're talking to a member of staff or somebody in your organization representing the HR team or as a manager or a supervisor, you should encourage open, constructive feedback from team members as well as from your customers. Why? Because feedback helps you learn more about where you need to improve, and it helps you learn more about why your employees are either happy or unhappy, so you can actually take action to avoid higher turnover and lower retention rates. Let's talk about constructive feedback examples. For example, you're always late to work. More constructive would be, I noticed that you were late to work a couple of times last week. When you come late, you start working later, then your team members feel like you are disturbing them or making them work harder. Maybe you could consider buying an alarm clock or using your phone so that you can reach work earlier moving forward. How do you feel about that? What do you think about that? A more positive way to give feedback to a staff member who's already late. Next one, a staff member who doesn't get the work done or always fails to meet deadlines. Hey, George, you're always missing your deadlines. Why? This is not constructive. Constructive way would be, I noticed you have missed a couple of deadlines, George, especially with the project that was due yesterday. I do understand that you might be drowned under with work. But, you know, if you have too much work, George, it's really important that you talk to me as your supervisor and tell me where you need help, because it's really important that we meet deadlines as it reflects not only on you, but on the team and our business, our company and our brand. Do you understand what I'm saying, George? Do you agree with me, George? Okay. Does everybody understand the difference between positive feedback and negative feedback? Yes or no? Wave your hands. Thank you. When you get the PowerPoint on Monday, you'll have this as a reference. You will get the PowerPoint together with your certificate. Okay, so we've got negative feedback, positive feedback. Let's go on. The positive feedback is, of course, the one with the green tick. The negative is the one with the red cross. Okay, all right, good. Let's talk about how you can make sure that your feedback is positive. Let's talk about what you need to do to make sure that you address the issues. Identify the specific area that you're giving feedback on. For example, not meeting deadlines. Make clear why you're talking to them, because by not meeting deadlines, it reflects on our company and our team. Describe specifically when they have not met the deadlines. Make sure you keep a straight face. Make sure you maintain the same composure. Do not become emotional. Do not make preconceived judgments. Give the person a chance to respond. Offer specific suggestions on how they can improve. Summarize and then ask close probes to make sure they understand you, and continuously reiterate your support and gratitude for their understanding, and say, I look forward to seeing you improve, or I look forward to seeing you work just as hard, but at least try to do it on time. And if you need any help, I'm here for you. Positive feedback. You don't have to write this down because you'll get a copy of the PowerPoint deck on Monday. All right, so positive feedback can be seen as disingenuous, often vague or superfluous, and may cultivate mistrust. That's positive feedback. So when you give positive feedback, you have to give it in the right way. How do you give it in the right way? Is by following the right steps. Negative feedback can lead to conflict and personal attacks, results in defensive language, and creates anxiety and stress, and would probably demotivate that person, and he would demotivate the team. Correcting feedback, such as the feedback that I showed you, this one, correcting feedback. This is negative. This is correcting feedback. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is correcting feedback. Correcting feedback will basically set guides to the person you're talking to. It will motivate them to come back on track. It will show them and explain to them how you want them to improve, give them ideas. And by suggesting to them that by them asking for help or by them doing it in the way you're showing them is gonna make them feel better and motivate them. Always exhibit gratitude to them as reinforcement to keep them motivated. Remember what I said here? What do you think about this, George? Do you think it's a good idea? Great. I want to see you ask when you need help. I want you to keep up your hard-working effort. But if you think you're running out of time and you need help, ask. Be positive, motivate them. Okay, let's go on. Number 9 is cultural sensitivity. Remember, we said it's very important to be culturally sensitive when you communicate, because today more than ever, people respect culture. You cannot say anything disrespectful to a religion, a nationality, or to sex, because you could end up being taken to the law for discrimination, whether it's religious, sexual, or any form of discrimination. Let's talk about this. You need to have the right culture. That's the other part, culture. And the only way you can ensure the right culture to ensure harmony through HR is by starting at the beginning. You need to instill the right attitude, the right beliefs, use the right language when talking to people. Make sure you observe customs and rituals that those people might believe in. For example, if they're Muslim and wearing a scarf, do not try to shake hands with them because it would be disrespectful if they are women. You never offer your hand to shake hands with a woman who's wearing a scarf unless she gives you permission or puts her hand out first. Make sure you observe religious beliefs, such as shaking hand with a woman wearing a veil or a scarf. Make sure you respect culture when you take the people who work for you out to eat, or you bring pork to the office and no one else in your office eats pork. Okay? Make sure you reflect on the sort or talk the same sort of culture or language that the people around you talk. If all the people that work for you are old, they're in the above 50 generation, don't talk about Michael Jackson rock and roll with them, because they'll feel out of this, they'll feel out of bound. They'll feel like they're stupid. They don't know about Michael Jackson. Talk to them about something that they understand, which was in their culture, something the music they understood during the 1950s because of their age. So company culture includes all of these factors. Does everybody understand that? Cultural sensitivity. Let's look at a cultural iceberg. Okay, there is formal, overt aspects, and there is informal, overt aspects. Okay, let's look at the formal. Beliefs and assumptions, perceptions, attitudes, feelings, anger, fear, liking, despair, etc. Okay, informal. The way we say we got things done. All right. So remember, the way we really get things done is the formal overt, and it's the aspect we really need to focus on about the formal and informal systems. Let me put it this way. If you're trying to explain goals, policies, the services, or the resources that your team have to get them to understand your business culture, you need to make sure they understand it in a language that they understand. All right. However, if you just think or say to yourself, oh, they understand me, they should know what I'm talking about, then technically speaking, there's an iceberg because they don't understand you. Do you understand me, guys? Do you all understand what I mean by the communication iceberg? Yes or no? Does everybody understand the communication iceberg? Yan Lee, do you understand? Yan Lee? Yes or no, Yan Lee? Can you unmute your microphone, Yan Lee? Are you there, Yan Lee? Do you understand what I've explained by the iceberg?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Yan Lee.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. All right, the next part is technology. Technology is very important in order for HR to be able to instill harmony in your organization. By utilizing the right technology and being technology driven or keeping up with technology will show the people who work for you that you want to make their life easier and motivate them. And by using technology and making sure that you observe data protection laws and privacy laws, you're telling your team or the people you're communicating with you that you are professional. You're gaining their confidence. You're winning their trust. All right. The next element we have to take note of, especially if HR is trying to maintain harmony, is conflict resolution. You should all know what conflict resolution is. Conflict resolution is being able to communicate effectively, to resolve problems or address disagreements or clarify issues that your team or your people are not actually understanding. And for you to be able to resolve conflict, you need to first actively listen. You need to show empathy, diplomacy when dealing with conflict, and mutually beneficial solutions need to be reached through active listening and effective business communication. If you go in there with a preconceived idea and say, listen, I don't believe you, I know you made the mistake, that's it. There's nothing you can tell me. Then of course, that's not effective communication. That's a preconceived emotion or preconceived idea. And that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make in effective business communication. HR personnel in any organization should be able to resolve conflict because they are there to look after your human capital. They need to know how to address conflict. They need to understand the people that work for them and the team ingredients. They need to understand. They need to know how many members of the team are analytical, how many of them are very, very controlling freaks that don't like to be told what to do. So you need to understand the mixture, the ingredients of the team. If you do understand and you're able to communicate and solve resolution or solve conflict by resolution, you will ensure higher productivity from your organization or the team. However, if you can't handle it properly, you will cause a motivation probably. They will be demotivated, demoralized, and it will impact their productivity. And soon it will spread and people will start resigning. Your turnover rate will go way up, and your retention rate will go low down. All right, let's talk about conflict resolution. In order to be able to resolve conflict, you need to show empathy. You need to use communication, active listening, and mediation. You need to be assertive by expressing your ideas clearly. You need to be in a facilitation mood where you're open to asking long, open-ended questions and closed probe, short-ended questions. You need to actually think from the perspective of solving a problem, not going in with a prejudged idea or emotions. And you need to be able to be held accountable for the decisions you make, and you need to understand your accountability if you mishandle the situation. Remember, active listening is critical. Active listening is critical. Does everybody understand that? Active listening is critical in mediation, in reaching resolution. All right, let's look at this, the importance of relationship. If you are HR dealing with the people in your company, what is the ideal relationship? Is it collaborating, compromising and accommodating, or is it competing and avoiding? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Can anyone tell me which is more important? Anyone? Let me put the slide up and then ask you. It might be easier for you. Hold on. Okay, who wants to talk to me? Let me bring my slide up. Okay, who would like to explain? Priya, which one do you think is more important, Priya? Should you be competing? Should you be collaborating? Should you be accommodating, or should you be avoiding? Go ahead, Priya. Are you there, Priya? Hello, Priya. I can't hear Priya. Can you unmute yourself, Priya? Okay, you need to fix your microphone, Priya. Gwyn Hart Dai. Can you unmute yourself, Gwyn? Hello, Gwyn. Hi, Gwyn. Unmute yourself. Gwyn, tell me, which one do you think is more effective? Collaborating, avoiding, competing, or accommodating?
So I think compromise and collaborating.
Thank you very much. So basically, the most effective ways are collaborating, but you can only collaborate through compromise, and that requires effective communication and active listening. Understand that? Now, if you try to compete, what will happen? What do you think will happen if we compete? Can you tell me, Gwyn, what will happen?
So maybe we will lose our partner.
Right, because you're trying to compete. If you're trying to compete, that means you're trying to end up with a win situation and they will be on a losing end. So you might lose that employee or lose that partner. Very good. So competing is very dangerous. If you want to compete, you have to make sure that you reach an equilibrium, which is collaboration and compromise, where both sides feel they're winning. But if one side feels they're losing, if they're really desperate, you might get the business, but you won't have the business for long because they might have no other choice. It will be a very short-lived relationship. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay. And what happens when you avoid? Win, can you explain to everybody about avoid? What happens when you avoid? Is avoid a good tactic? What will happen when you avoid?
Sorry, I have no idea about avoiding.
Okay, avoiding is by ignoring, by trying to avoid dealing with the issue. Okay, if you avoid, will you resolve it? No. Okay, if you avoid dealing with an issue, that means you don't value the relationship. That means that you're not interested in doing business. That means that this relationship is not important to you. That's when you start avoiding. Everybody understand that? Yes or no? When you start accommodating, then the relationship is of high importance to you. When you start actually collaborating, again, it's of high importance to you. All right. Collaboration, accommodating are of high importance. Competing and avoiding show that these customers are of low importance. Do you understand that, everyone? Low, high. Do you understand that, Gwyn?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. Does everybody else understand what I mean about the relationship? If the relationship is highly important, then you would accommodate, compromise, and collaborate. Okay. But if you're avoiding or competing, it means that this relationship between you and the employee or you and your customer is not really important, and you don't care whether it is kept or lost. Okay. Do you understand that? Rosalie, do you understand what I just explained about this diagram, Rosalie? Yes or no? Okay, good. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go on. Okay, effective business communication is a two-way process that involves not only conveying your message clearly, but also actively listening and engaging with others. Developing strong business communication skills enhances collaboration, enhances productivity, and enhances overall organizational success. And in order for you to ensure harmony in your business through HR, you need to have effective business communication. The importance of clear business communication also lies in the following: presenting the options, making plans, executing decisions, reaching agreement, sending and fulfilling orders, successful selling, effective meetings, and providing feedback to employees and customers. All of this is based on the skills that we just discussed, because you need it in order to actually be able to do it. If you don't have clear and effective business communication skills, you will fail in any of these tasks. Okay? Employee engagement is another critical area that HR has to achieve in order to bring harmony to the company and to the industry you're in. HR is usually responsible for engaging employees to boost their morale and keep them motivated. Engaged employees are more likely to be motivated, they will be more productive, and they will be more committed and help to ensure that you achieve your company goals that they understand as a result of being engaged and you having communicated with them correctly. There are 3 levels of employee engagement. Level 1 is they do what they want, not what you want them to do. Why do they do that? It's because you have not communicated clearly. They don't understand you. They don't understand your vision or mission, and they are not engaged. Level 2. This is level 1 here. They think ahead and solve problems before they happen. This is engaged. They think ahead and they solve problems before they happen. However, the ultimate level of engagement that you want your employees at is not here and not here. Because if they solve the problem before it happens, then it's not a problem. It may not be a problem. They may be wasting their time. You want level 3. You want people who are highly active or highly engaged. That means they think ahead and solve problems before they happen, but they proactively look for areas of opportunity that will show problems that may appear in the future and point to helping you grow your organization. Does everybody understand what I mean by level 3 engagement? That is what we call employee engagement at the ideal level. This one is ideal. Okay, let's talk about engagement again. We can break engagement into 3 simple categories. The first one is emotional engagement. Feeling and preferences related to the experience and involvement of work. They feel good based on their emotions. 2 is cognitive engagement. It's where they engage based on the beliefs and knowledge about the work that shape how they do their work or how confident they feel with their work and tasks. And there's physical engagement. It's their attitude, their behavior, and their level of productivity that show how keen they are to get the work done or interested in the work. So let me ask you, if somebody is at level 3, do you think he has to have cognitive engagement? He would have to have that and this in order to be at level 3. Emotional engagement, you'd like him to have that, but he would more effectively have to have both of these. All right. The other part that HR needs to put in place or actually implement in order to maintain harmony in a business is what we call fair and consistent policies. Their policies must be transparent. They must be equitable. They must be policies that help to build trust and mitigate potential conflicts arising from perceived unfair treatment of an employee, of a customer, or of a business partner. Let's look at human resources. Remember, human resources are responsible for your payroll, for time tracking, for benefits and administration, for recruiting, and for making sure that employees are engaged, personal tracking. HR are responsible for making sure that all these elements are alive, they're happening within your company, and that is called compliance. Let's talk about 7 best practices that HR must implement if they want to grow harmony in their business and in their industry. Okay? They must make information easily available and accessible to those who need it, their employees and their external customers. They must create a flat and egalitarian organization, which means that they have a flat organization that makes it easier for people to communicate. Instead of having hundreds of layers of supervisors, maybe you have all your clerks, all your executives, all your supervisors, all your managers, all your high managers, executive managers, very flat. But if you put too many levels in there, you basically will complicate the processes. Try to keep it flat and simple. You need to offer training in the relevant skills to the people that you employ. You need to make sure that you employ fair and performance-based compensation to pay people what they deserve based on their efforts and their skills. Otherwise, they will run away to their competitors. You need to make sure that you have or empower your supervisors or team leaders to effectively manage teams. You must make sure that you hire the right people that fit into your organizational culture, not people that are going to damage your organizational culture. And you must provide a sense of motivation, which will in order help them to build a level of confidence, feel more competent in the job they do because they're successful, and they would feel a sense of security and would never consider leaving your organization, hopefully. Training and development, as I said, is critical because the more training and the more development, the more your team learn and the more motivated they become, the more confident they become, and the more competence they have in the job they have to do. Let's talk about this. Training can be of 4 different levels. 1, it can be reactive, where you just do it because there's a problem. 2, it can be responsive, based on the fact that the staff need it in order to do their job better and based on a learning and development plan or training needs analysis that your company conducts. The next one can be proactive. Proactive is basically the minimum acceptable level that any company should actually focus on. All right, you should try to be in this category from here to here. Okay. Proactive means that you build strong partnerships with all your departments. You make sure that you offer ongoing training to all departments and make sure that based on the competencies the people in that department have to have in order to actually do their job, you always have ongoing training on offer. You're proactive. Okay? And you must also go to the next level to be strategic. So once you're proactive, you then have to take it to what we call the strategic level by making sure that you're not only covering basic training, but you also offer those people who are looking towards a promotion or the people you think that you want to promote, you start training them further and teaching them more, vice versa. All right. So remember, in order for you to motivate people into harmony and have an ideal harmonious situation in your organization, so far as the most important asset you have, your people, okay, you need to go from proactive training and development to a strategic learning and development policy, which you measure ongoing through measuring the performance of your team, your staff, to make sure they're improving and making sure you motivate them by offering them continuous opportunities to learn and continuous recognition through correct compensation. All right, so let me summarize. It's about ensuring that employees stay engaged with your organization. It's about ensuring that you create employee-centric learning so everybody wants to learn. It's about determining how you want to drive your employees' performance to improvement. And you can only do that by regularly monitoring your employees' performance through counseling, feedback, and performance evaluation. Okay, you need to focus on helping employees climb the success ladder by showing them a career path and constantly engaging in a strategic training plan, which will allow to develop people for career growth. And of course, in order to do that, you must always ensure that you fill any learning gaps based on new technology or changes in your market space. Proactive employee relations is critical in any business. It is critical in any business. HR, human resources, needs to be proactive whenever it engages with employees, because if HR is not people-centric, everybody write this down. Remember, we said you can be customer-centric, but from a HR perspective, you have to be people-centric. Does everybody understand that? People-centric. It means understanding, just one moment, please, understanding the people. Your most valuable everybody see the chat box. People-centric means understanding the people, your most valuable asset, your human capital. Does everybody understand that so far? Yes or no? Wave your hands if you understand. Good, excellent. HR can identify and address potential issues before they escalate, and that means fostering the right culture of trust and collaboration, and they can only do that through active listening and effective business communication. All right, compliance with labor laws. If you don't comply with the local labor laws in your company, and you don't respect the local labor laws set under your country's government regulations, eventually your staff will hear about it, your employees will learn about it, they'll become demotivated, they will leave your organization, increase your turnover rate, lower your retention rate, and it will cause bad morale for other employees, and will also get you into the red light with the legal authorities or the employment authorities or the labor law authorities or unions in your country. HR is the organizational body that focuses on ensuring that part of the business's strategic plan, part of its plan to run the business and how they run it, is to ensure they comply with local labor laws and regulations at all times. Because you as a team leader or a supervisor in the factory or in the accounts department, you need to focus on the business of your department. HR need to make sure that all the employees in the company are being treated in accordance with the law and labor law in your country, and that will maintain harmony. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to summarize, we can say that HR plays a vital role in creating an environment that fosters cooperation. It fosters respect amongst the people that work for you. It fosters increased productivity within the business or organization. I'm sure you would all agree that by using HR and what we've discussed today, you can promote industrial harmony and you can contribute to the overall success of the business organization that you want to start or that you work for. Human resource function is an integral part of the organization today, and well-structured HR teams are required in any business. All right, they are required, because without them, the organization will not have a clear set of goals and will not be able to measure those goals through performance evaluation, and they will not be equipped to systematically monitor goals and performance. You need a HR team to do that. All right. The other part is by defining improvements to talent acquisition, by having a strategic training and development policy. You encourage employee engagement. You encourage people that you're encouraging them to learn, and through learning, they'll be able to increase productivity and be able to do better and feel more competent and get positive experience in what they're doing. They will also be able to adapt to the faster demands of the business, or be able to understand how to counter disruptions if there's a breakdown, because they're better trained on how to do their job or the skill within your business ecosystem. All right, remember, employee engagement through a strategic learning or training plan, through ongoing talent acquisition by acquiring the people with the right culture that fit your company's culture fit. Okay. All right, let's go on here. HR focus on reviewing and strengthening several internal processes should be an ongoing process every year. They should review your strategic talent acquisition plan and suggest to management how much budget they need for talent acquisition, training, and development. They should look at team structures and see if the team needs to be restructured or more people need to go into the team, to see if there's a right mix of talent or the right job descriptions to make sure that team is effective. This should be done by HR on a regular basis annually to ensure harmony. They need to actually drive increased learning through a strategic plan where people are encouraged to continue learning and undertaking new lessons, assimilating with new technology in order for them to grow with the business. All right, employee engagement means, again, understanding employee motivations, understanding what motivates employees, what engagement does an employee need to stay motivated, not only money, but other engagement like continuous learning, positive experience doing their job without getting told off or failing to meet their key performance indicators, and believing that there's a sense of security and a career progression path for them. Okay, workplace culture, we've already covered. Okay, and we've already covered that. We also have learned, or you should all know by now through your entrepreneurship and sales modules, that in order for any business to function, they need to have a business strategy, which outlines how a company will achieve its goals and the different strategies they're going to use, which include cost, leadership, differentiation, and focus. So HR needs to play an important role in this. HR plays an important role in giving information at corporate level to include in the corporate strategy, at the business level to different business managers, heads of departments, and also at functional level, at HR level, in guiding the human capital that work for your company. All of this requires strategy. It requires process. It requires procedures. Remember, business strategy covers HR as well as everything else, HR as well as everything else. Cost, quality, procurement, production, supply chain, distribution, technology, intellectual property. All of this is part of business strategy. If you're running your own business and you don't have this, you need to stop and start again. You need to start putting it on paper before your business fails completely. This is a simple diagram of business strategy. What is business strategy? Strategies are plans that lay out ideas to be extended to achieve the goals of the business. HR needs to be involved in that. They influence market position and revenue earnings capacity of the company. Of course, if you have a harmonious company where everybody's motivated, that is going to make you a market leader. It's going to make you sell more product, hopefully, because your employees are more productive, and therefore you'll have higher revenue earning, and basically it's going to put you in front of your competitors. To do this, again, you need HR to provide the right environment, to make sure they employ people that fit into the right culture, and they train and develop them. Strategies can vary according to the targets achievable. All right. So basically, depending on what your company's corporate targets are, what do they want? Are they going to run their own production plant? Is it going to be highly automated with robots? What sort of strategy do they need? So HR can make sure they provide the right people to fit that strategy so the business can run. All right. Now you can have a production strategy, sales marketing strategy, supply chain strategy, financial and monetary strategy, research strategy, but all of these require a human resource strategy to bring them together. Because if you don't have a human resource strategy, you will not be able to put the right people to actually accomplish each of the other strategies. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay. Remember, to develop a business strategy, first you need to have values and a mission of what you want to do and why you want to do it. You need to understand where you are now, and you need to do SWOT analysis, outlining your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities and threats you face in your business. You need to have a clear set of objectives here that will tell you where you want to go based on the results of your SWOT analysis and based on you being customer centric and understanding what your potential customer demographics are. You need to understand how well you know the product, what you need to do to get the product ideal for market and have a winning edge, and what performance indicators or targets are you going to use to measure your success. All of this needs to be documented in your strategy. And the most important part in your business strategy is the steps that you're going to take to make all of it happen. How many people are you going to employ? What experience or background you want them to come from? Okay, this is to describe all the steps or actions you have to take. to make all this happen, to get your business to be profitable. All right, does anybody have any questions about anything I've said so far? I'm here to answer questions. All right, let me go back and answer questions. Let's start with Daniel Muitawa. Yeah, Daniel, go ahead. Can you unmute your microphone, Daniel?
Yes.
You go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Could you just shed a little bit more light on the chart that you showed us on non-verbal communication? I read something there, tone of voice. So I was
Tone of
wondering,
voice. Okay, tone of voice. Let me explain that. Tone of voice is in the level of confidence you portray. Okay. For example, let me give you an example. If you were my client, okay, and you asked me, can you tell me about the quality of your product? And I said, hold on, Daniel, don't worry about our quality. Our quality doesn't make any difference. You're getting it at the right price. The tone of voice or the way I answered your question, okay, protracts a lack of confidence in my product. Do you understand that? Okay. So the answer I'm giving you is trying to distract you away from the quality of my product. So that would say to the listener, either I don't know my product or my product is not good enough. So it's the way you portray a conversation. The other part of it is in the level of confidence in your conversation. For example, if I speak to you at a tone or a voice, a level of voice where you can hear me, which is the same voice that you speak to me in, then I'm considered to be communicating effectively with you. But if I speak louder than you, that's telling the person that I think I'm better than you, and that can be disrespectful. Do you understand that? If you talk down, let me just finish and I'll answer your question, please. If you talk down to people or try to say to them or show them that, listen, I'm the expert, you need to listen to me, and you try to down them or underestimate their intelligence in the way you speak, also that can be dangerous. Go ahead, Daniel. What's your question?
My question is there no conflict because it was falling under non-verbal?
It is non-verbal. It is non-verbal because it's the tone with which you speak. It's the way you communicate. It's not the voice that you deliver with, but it's the tone and the mode of communication, whether there's confidence in your voice or not. That is non-verbal.
Okay, I see.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Daniel, let me give you an example. If you wanted me to work for you and you wanted to talk to me with a voice that shows lack of confidence, how would you do that? If you were trying to employ me and you were talking down to me and your voice protracted that you have no confidence in me, how would you talk to me?
I would conclude that
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Let me assume that Sheikh is the person both of us are interviewing. And at the end of the interview, we said to Sheikh, you know, Sheikh, just talking to you, I don't think your English is good enough to work for us. I don't think you have enough experience to work for us. But anyway, we'll call you soon. What have I just done to Sheikh's level of confidence? I've spoken down to him. Do you understand that? I've turned him down. Okay. All right. So I've spoken down to him because what I've done is I've told him he's not good enough for us. I've spoken down to him. Do you understand that? Yes. All right. So if I was going to say, Sheikh, you're applying for a job as a cleaner, but you've never done any cleaning before. Okay, well, the cleaner doesn't need to have done any cleaning. You can teach him. It's a very easy task. But when I talk to him, I talk down to him like that, automatically he's lost respect for me. And probably if I offered him a job, he wouldn't want to work for me anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, yes, it's the same. It's the same when you down talk to a customer. You say to the customer, listen, I know better than you. My product is at the right price. I can't give you a discount. But hold on, You don't know better than the customer because the customer is the one that's going to buy it off you. He knows what his costs are. So the minute you say it to the customer in that way, in that language, you've automatically lost the respect of the customer. What is a better way of saying it? Listen, George, I do understand that cost is important to you. Can you tell me what sort of costs were you looking for? And then you try to convince George why you can't meet that cost. But you wouldn't downplay that by telling him that you know the costs better than him. Do you understand what I'm saying, Daniel?
Yes, yes, I
All right.
do.
And then you don't want to up talk. So if you say to a customer, listen, your factory has a problem. Your staff are not hygienic. There's no sanitation in your factory. You would have to be careful how to say that, because what the customer would perceive is that you think you know his business better than him. So how could you put it to the customer in a more professional way? By the way, Sheikh, can I ask you, do you have any sanitation procedures or SOP for the people on the factory floor? How often do you do a checklist against those procedures? Do you have a problem employing people with the correct sanitation procedures? All right. Do you have any training actually teaching people about the correct procedures? So what am I doing? I'm asking questions to get the customer to admit that he has a problem, but I'm not talking down to him. Do you understand me, Daniel?
Yes, yes.
Daniel,
yes,
let me tell you all something. The most professional way to get an employee to work hard and perform, the most professional way to get a customer to buy from you is to earn their confidence and their trust, right?
Yeah.
We say in the academic world, why sell when people buy? Do you understand what I mean by that? That means if you practice effective communication and active listening, they will at the end of the conversation say to you, Daniel, when can I have this product? All right. But if you have to say to them at the end of the conversation, so would you like me to quote you for the product? Then you failed. You haven't communicated. Because at the end of the conversation, the question you should be asking, Sheikh, would you agree with me that if I put my cleaning system in your factory, I am going to reduce the number of complaints, I'm going to reduce the cost of inspections and being closed down by the government health authorities, and you are going to have a much more profitable process, and you'll be able to put the products out a lot faster. Would you agree with me, Mr. Tukir? Now, the minute he says yes to that, what's your next question? Mr. Tukir, can I go on to confirm that what you're telling me is you really want my cleaning system? Tell me, how soon would you likely to implement the system? I haven't asked him about price. Do you understand that, Daniel? I haven't focused on the money. All I've done is ask the right questions to get him to answer me and say yes, right?
Yes.
And then when he says yes at the very end, what's the last thing you're going to say? Thank you, Sheikh. Let me prepare an official quotation and send it to you. And if you have any questions, please call me back, right? What have I just done? I've just closed your $1 million sale, correct? And it's the same when you're interviewing someone. If you say to them, what salary remuneration are you expecting? You don't shoot them down in flames and say you're not experienced. What you say is, let us look at that and we'll get back to you. Then when you make them an offer, it's up to HR to say, listen, Daniel, you asked for $3,000 a month, but based on industry standards now, you only have 2 years experience. What we'd like to do is start you off at $2,500 a month. And once you pass probation, we'll consider increasing your salary, right? Do you think that Daniel would accept the job? Probably yes. But if I said to Daniel, hey, you're in the wrong salary scale, you don't deserve that much, what is Daniel going to say? Oh, thank you very much. The next time you try to call Daniel with an offer, is he going to answer the phone? No. Do you understand what I mean by tone of voice? It's not the words you say, it's the way you use words, which is the tone of words you use. Do you follow me, Daniel?
Yes, very much.
All right. And let me just say to you,
Right.
Daniel, communication is 35% in verbal. The balance is all 65%, sorry, 35% verbal, and the balance is all non-verbal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So that gives you 65% non-verbal ingredients, and the tone or the way you say things, the tone you use, and the expression and the body language you use accommodates the other 65%.
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask you, how long does it take for you during an interview before the interviewer has made an initial decision whether they will continue with your application or not? Does anyone know how long it takes? How long does it take? Does anyone know? Come on, Daniel.
Probably within 5 minutes.
Too long. Too long, Daniel. I'll tell you in a minute the correct answer. Sheikh, do you know how long it takes? How long? Go ahead. No, wrong. Far too long. It takes no more than 120 seconds, 2 minutes. Initial perceptions are made by the way you're dressed, your posture, and the first words that come out of your mouth. Tell me about yourself, Daniel. By the time you clock 2 minutes, that HR interviewer has already said, Daniel is not confident. Daniel is not dressed for this job. Just cut the interview short, right? It takes 2 minutes. And if you don't believe that, I've been interviewing, I think I've done about 45,000 interviews in the last 38 years as a consultant. I can show you some tapes that will definitely confirm that ideology, all right? Now, you might sit in the interview for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's not because they want to hire you. It's because the next interview's in 10 minutes time and they're being courteous to you by having a conversation, but it doesn't mean they're going to hire you. Do you understand that, everyone? And the same goes when you talk to somebody about their performance or trying to maintain harmony amongst your team in a business. The first 2 minutes of your conversation will dictate whether that person respects you, believes you, and is going to listen to you. Do you understand that? Yes or no? Okay. Thank you very much, Daniel. I hope I helped you today, Daniel. I hope you learned something.
Indeed.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, my name again is Wally Rowder. It's been my pleasure to deliver BizTalk to you today. You will all get a copy of this material together with your certificates, provided you attended the whole session from beginning to end, except for the one student who apologized for being late. He will also get the certificate on this occasion only. I look forward to seeing you next week or the week after. Next week, we have leadership. It will either be myself or my boss, Mr. Benson Ma, and the following week, I'll be back with BizTalk. I also look forward to seeing you on Monday night, coming Monday at 7:45 p.m. when you join us for motivation presented by my guru and my boss, Mr. Benson Ma. It's an informal discussion, and I really encourage you. And as I say in plain English, get your fingers off your lazy backsides and join motivation, because you've got nothing to lose. The only thing you can lose is an hour of sitting in front of the TV. And what you can gain is the motivation to improve your lives. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. God bless you. Thank you so much.